Yes, you read that correctly. I am, in fact, giving away this copy of the collection of the mystical writings associated with Gertrude of Helfta, or Gertrude the Great. This is a fantastic copy printed in 1680 in Venice, and yeah, makes it about 344 or so years old, and I'm giving it away. So, how do you win this copy of the mystical writings of Gertrude? Well, more on that in a minute. But as to why I would give away a 344-year-old book of women's mystical piety, it's to celebrate the release of the new Esoterica catalog of rare and antiquarian occult books. Now, one of the most wonderful and, be honest, sometimes quite challenging aspects of my job is that many of the texts and figures and ideas that I cover here on the channel are taken from books and manuscripts that often don't have contemporary translations or even modern editions. For instance, Dr. Dan Atrell and I just released a brand new translation of some of Agrippa's more hermetic works for that very reason. They just didn't exist in a modern edition when I was preparing the notes for the recent Agrippa seminar, and insofar as I wanted to present that material, I only really had recourse to an early 17th century edition, which is romantic sounding until you have to actually read it. Of course, securing and translating old books is challenging, but that's also one of the best aspects of my job. I mean, who doesn't like old books? Weirdos. There's something about the look, the feel, the aesthetic, the feeling of the type, even the smell. Yes, the smell. That just fires the imagination like nothing else. And that's part of why I've waded into the antiquarian book field, to make the access to these historically important, frankly beautiful survivors of history more widely available outside of the highly specialized world of the book trade. And I'm proud to announce, in collaboration with my friend and colleague Dr. Morgan Meese, our newest Esoterica catalog of antiquarian occult books. And we have some really beautiful finds here, friends, from alchemical handbooks, a book on Ficino and the Plague, Renaissance astrological manuals, Del Rio's massive encyclopedia of witchcraft and magic and the occult, the philosophy of the sublime as the foundation for the Gothic aesthetic, exorcism manuals that frankly employed magical amulets and therefore were, banned by the church, a first edition of the single greatest collection, at least in my opinion, of Hermetic and pagan wisdom, classic volumes on Gnosticism, and even a Neo-Assyrian Pazuzu amulet. You know, Pazuzu from The Exorcist. Yeah, that guy. It's a still wearable amulet that's nearly 3,000 years old. But as many of you know, we also have a special love around here for the amazing women mystics in history, and this catalog features several prominent women from the history of mysticism, including Teresa of Avila, Jane Lead, Rose of Viterbo, and a beautiful early edition of the Revelations of Bridget of Sweden. And that brings me back to why I want to give away this book. Gertrude of Helfta was one of the most important 13th century mystics who, in 1281, at the age of only 25, began to have mystical visions which shifted her life from secular learning to devotional work. She and other nuns around her would compose the Herald of Divine Love. Gertrude herself would actually directly compose Book 2, and she would pioneer the nuptial mysticism which flourishes down to this day. Needless to say, Gertrude of Helfta was one of the most important mystics of her day and greatly informs the mystical traditions that come down to us. And this is a collection of her writings, especially in Book 2. And I want to put this edition, this very edition printed in 1680 in an Italian translation, I want to put it into one of your hands. So, how do you win this? Well, it's pretty simple. You check out our catalog with the links below. You follow the bookshop over at Instagram. It's not really my Instagram, it's the bookshop's Instagram, because Instagram kind of scares me. But at any rate, you just let us know in the comments what book on the catalog you find the most interesting, or just what book from the history of esotericism you'd most want to have. A first edition of Malleus Maleficarum, an original 1659 copy of the Enochian records of Dr. John Dee, complete works of Paracelsus, maybe a grimoire manuscript, I don't know, the complete first printing of the Equinox. just let us know in the comments here or over at our Instagram. And that's it. That's it. We'll pick a winner sometime in the next week or so, and we'll let you know. Of course, I'm going to be doing an entire episode on Gertrude of Helfta at some point in the future because she's amazing. And why not enter to win this over 300-year-old edition of her works in the meantime? I mean, by the time I get around to making the episode, you'll have read it in Italian in a 344-year-old edition. So take a look at our catalog. Let us know if you have any interest in any specific volumes, and I'll see folks soon with new Esoterica content. But until then, I'm Dr. Justin Sledge, and thank you for watching Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion.